welcome to episode 38 of the Craft House Magic Podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk, and today is quite a dull day, so I'm actually angled myself at the window to get as much natural light as possible. And I think it might give me a better representation of colours when I show you some yarns later, so I'll just have to see how it goes. We might be doing this in the future, depending if it works or not. So thanks so much for joining me. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry and all the social medias as Craft House Magic. Links are in the down bar below if you want to find me easily. So don't forget to come along to the Ravelry group. We've got some discussion threads going on the Christmas craft along and the Buttercup sock along. So I've drawn winners for the Christmas craft along and the V for Valentine sock knit along that we had, and I actually contacted the winners on Ravelry themselves, so we won't go through all that because we haven't got lots of other things to talk about. I just wanted to show you this Christmas panel that I've got available for the next month's prize for the Christmas craft along, and it's a panel to sew a little card holder. Well, it's quite a big card holder there, and there's different other panels that you sew on top of it to create a place to hang your cards. So that'll be a prize for the April draw for the Christmas craft along. So there's no finished objects thread, it's just a discussion thread I'm drawing the prizes from. So just come along and join in the chatter. You don't have to actually finish anything, it's just to get ideas from each other and just enjoy gift knitting and Christmassy style knitting or crafting, not just knitting, all the crafts. So we've got some knitting, some sewing, some bobbin lace, normal blast from the past, gadget, confessions. I've got quite a big confession today. It's very naughty. I'll leave that till later though. And then some information on my shop update, which will be Friday the 13th of April at 7:30. So I'll show you a few things that are going to be on the shop on Friday. So let's get into the knitting. So last time I showed you that I'd been knitting on the Peary Flowers hat, and I finished it. So this is how it's turned out. It hasn't been blocked yet, but I just wanted to show you before I blocked it because I'll end up having it all wet otherwise. So I'm going to block it on a balloon, I think. So I knitted the largest size of the Peary flowers I should say, and I cast on, I can't remember how many stitches, but it's the largest size of the Peary flowers, and I've got rather a large head and it fits me, but it's a little bit snug here, but I think when I block it a bit it'll just give it a little more room. I'll show you what it looks like on. So bear in mind that this hasn't been blocked yet. Hopefully I don't get the hat caught in my clips in my hair. So that's how it looked. I did the longest amount of repeats of the colour work because I wanted it to be slightly slouchy, but as it is a little bit more snug, it looks a little bit odd being that slouchy at the top, but I think when I've blocked it that'll be fine. But it does look really pretty. I shall show you. I've got clips in my hair, this is not a good idea. So I shall show you the inside. That's my floats on the inside, and I've got a couple of ends to sew in, and I'm going to show a little tutorial on how I sew my ends in. That's why I've left a couple so that I can record it after this video. So there we are. I think I'm relatively pleased with how the colourwork's come out, and I definitely think that knitting it in a more toothy yarn really makes it look a lot neater. You can see there that it's a lot neater than when I did my mittens with the moths on. I can't remember what they're called. I might knit some of those again though, so you might see that on the next week's podcast, we'll see. Or some other colourwork, because I really need to cast another sort of colourwork project on. So somebody was asking me about how you do this type of rib here, and I might try and see if I can get a tutorial for that done by next week as well, we'll see. If not, there'll definitely be one for sewing ends into colourwork. I really like the top of this hat, it's really pretty. It's sort of poking out a little bit in the centre there, but I think with a bit of blocking on a balloon that'll come out lovely. So there we go. So this is the Peary Flowers hat by Kate Davis, and the yarn is actually what's called for in the pattern, and it's all Jameson and Smith yarns. If you go to the pattern page on Ravelry, it lists all the colours that you need to purchase to be able to knit it if you're looking to knit the same colours. But I think you could probably pick colours out of your stash if you had the same sort of weight yarn. So there we go. I'm really pleased with that so far. I can't wait to get it blocked and so I can actually wear it. So that's all my finished objects. I've got quite a few works in progress to show you. So I finally gotten out my Cozy Memories blanket again. I could leave this. I actually haven't knitted on this since before Christmas, which is crazy. So I'd done sort of a length. It's difficult to show you now. I'd done a length of panel, which is 12 squares by 7, I think, and then I've started going along the side of this panel with a new batch of squares. So these yarns were all out of my advent calendars that I'd had at Christmas from some lovely friends, and it's really good because they came with tags. I've been able to put the tags on the back so I know what they are instead of having to fumble around trying to work out what I've knitted in. So these are, this first one is one of Kelly from Lay Family Yarns, her Christmas advent calendar. I had one of hers, so that's one of her lovely yarns. That's a really beautiful delicate pinks there with some little brown tones. This one is a Cascade Heritage Silk in a purple colourway, and that is a little bit brighter than it is coming up on the screen. But it is perhaps a little bit better than it normally shows up, so that's a bit of an improvement on the lighting. And this one is a Fondant Fibre Paradise colourway, and it's a sparkly base. I think that one, yep. You can't really see it on the camera very well, I'm afraid. This one, whoops, is an All About yarn, and it's the Obsidian colourway. That's really cool. And then finally I've got another Fondant Fibre in the Lost Marbles colourway, so they're coming along nicely. And if you've noticed, I'm going in a different direction with my sort of centre double decreases. So what I hope to do is that, so you can see this whole panel is all in one direction, and then this panel I'm hoping to go all in that direction, so I'll have like a zigzag effect if I do sections in different directions. So I think that'll be rather lovely, a little bit different. So I'm hoping, this is my goal, by the next episode to have finished one row, and that means I'll have knitted 12 squares anyway, so that'll be a decent amount of my blanket done. I want to be able to have knitted all my mini skeins from the advent calendars from last year before I start on any of the new yarns that I've been wanting to add to my Cozy Memories blanket. I especially really want to add the ones I got from Edinburgh Yarn Festival in there. That would be really exciting. So that's my first work in progress. My second work in progress is my buttercup socks. So I've been knitting it in the Where the Wild Roses Grow colourway, which is in my shop at the moment if you're interested. I shall show you what it looks like in the skein. So I've got little minis with the 20 gram mini with a 100 gram skein of the Where the Wild Roses Grow if you're interested. You don't have to have the mini, you can just opt to buy this one skein. But this is how it knits up. There's little pink speckles in there with some green, like delicate greens in there, and I have actually, my buttercup sock pattern, the instructions just describe 2 repeats of the little feet, but I actually did 3 after my wonderful test knitters did a lovely job and actually did an additional repeat, and I think it looks nicer with another repeat in there. So the pattern is on both sides, and the pattern is basically written so that you can do it in Magic Loop. It's easier to follow in Magic Loop, but you can do it in DPNs, it's not a problem. So there we go. Oh, and that's how the yarn looks like in the cake as well. Really pretty. I'm really pleased with how this is knitting up actually. It's nicer than I thought it would look. It's so nice to be able to knit with my own yarn, because I picked this base because it's like my absolute favourite base of merino nylon in the world. So that's my second work in progress. My third work in progress is some socks, surprisingly. So I've got one finished, and you can see that it's rather ruched up. So this is a Knit Picks. I always say this, it's not Knit Picks Felici. It is Drops Fable. That's it. It's Drops Fable. And what I aim to do is do them toe up and knit the heel the right length for Adam, because he's going to be for Adam, and then just keep knitting till I run out of yarn. So if I pull this, you can see how long they are. So I knitted till I thought, oh, there's about enough for a cuff to knit in plain stockinette, and then I started doing the ribbing. And I am on the second sock. I shall pop a picture here of Adam wearing one of the socks, well, this sock. So you can see what they look like. They're really long, they come just under his knee, so they'll keep him really cosy. I just wanted to see how long I could knit a pair of socks with a 50-gram ball. So I am that far on the second sock, and I've got this much left, so not too much to go. And I shall have a nice pair of socks. These will not match because I've just taken the yarn wherever it starts in the ball and I'm knitting the whole ball, because sometimes I just don't like to have wasteful yarn. So there we go. The more I knit with the the more I knit with the Drops Fable, the more I'm in favour of it, really, because it is really durable actually, and it's just so affordable. So if you want to knit gift socks, and it's interesting patterns as well, so that's really good. I forgot to show you my little, this is one of my progress keepers that I have in my shop of a little kitty. How cute! They're little sets of 3. Anyway, right, so that's Adam's really long socks. He gets really cold feet, you see, and cold legs, so I'm actually thinking about knitting some sort of underwear, sort of trousers to go underneath his trousers for work in the middle of winter, because he gets so cold. We'll see. He keeps going on about it. I also started knitting another pair of Afterthought Everything socks. Mum gave me a hand with knitting this lovely tube. So this is Drops Fable again. I can't remember what the colourway is, I'm afraid. I think I've knitted with this before. I bought 2 balls, and this is actually one 50-gram ball just knitted up in its entirety. This is a Knit Pick Stroll ball that I've put for a contrast contrast cuffs, and I'll put the same colour for heels and toes. So I haven't cut into that yet, but I quite like just knitting a whole tube because you can just relax. And my mum had a bit of a go knitting with her DPNs, so she did quite a bit of the tube for this, and she's not into doing any of the complicated knitting. Well, she calls it complicated knitting, so she just did a lot of the straight knitting for me. So thanks, Mum. So this is going to be one of my Christmas gifts that I'm knitting for the Christmas knit along. So I've just got to put the heels and toes in there, and I've had a bit of a think about what other socks I need for Christmas gift knitting. So I tend to knit a lot of socks for Christmas gifts because you can get away with lots of different colours with socks rather than having to match colours with what people wear, like for a cowl or whatever. So I am planning on making my dad some socks out of this Heart and Soul yarn, and then somebody else who does sometimes watch the podcast is going to have a pair of socks out of these 2. So this is an opal yarn, and it's in the, I can never remember which one's the colourway, but that's what it says, Partey and whatever the numbers on the back, and that's how it's going to come out like. So that looks really nice with the blue as a contrast heel, I think. So there we go. So that's another planned pair of socks. I have also got a pair of socks to knit for a friend who doesn't like anything scratchy and doesn't like washing anything by hand, so I've had to buy some acrylic yarn, which is actually really soft, really. It's a Hayfield Bonus Breeze in a DK yarn because she wanted me to knit her some bed socks, so I'm going to be knitting some bed socks out of that. She's a size 9 foot, so I'm going to knit them toe up, and just to see if I can get a whole pair of socks out of 100 grams. Hopefully that'll be okay. Right, so that's my sort of sock plans. I'm also doing a test knit for the lovely Naomi Buchanan, who's Cozy Cute Knits. So this is The Only Way Is Up cowl by Naomi Buchanan, and I'm actually test knitting it, even though I'm a bit late and it's actually already available. So it's a nice, really, some of it's simple, and then it's got some lovely textured stitches in. I haven't got to the textured stitches yet, but I'll pop a picture up here of what it will look like when it's finished. So the yarn I'm using is a little mini set that I've been dyeing up myself, and I've got one that's still in the little skein. So there's a sort of variety of spring colours, including this one, which is the same as my socks, which is where the wild roses grow. There we go. So that's got that colourway in. I mustn't drop any stitches off this. So I'm not quite sure whether I should have gone for the yellow, because that's going to be right next to my neck, and I'm not sure whether yellow really suits me right next to my face, but I do love the colour. So this is the sort of semi-solid tonal yellow. This is a green and purple sort of splattery yarn, and then I've just started on a yellow and green sort of splattery yarn, which is similar tones to this one but with yellow instead of purple. So that's coming along nicely. I absolutely love the way this base knits up when I knit it on 4mm needles. It's so squishy. I just love doing that. Oh dear. You understand though, don't you guys? So that's all my knitting projects talked about. I think I've got rather a lot of projects on the go at the moment. I think I better get these sock projects off the needles so that I've only got 1 or 2 pairs of socks. It starts to stress me out after a little while. At least I've got plans for all my Christmas gift knitting, and I know exactly what I'm going to knit before Christmas. Get those done before summer and I'll be sorted. So, lovely. We better get on to the sewing section. So before I shout Barbara, because she's out in the other room, this is my Agnes top by Tilly and the Buttons, and this fabric is a gorgeous sewing themed fabric at Jersey, and I got it from Watson and Thornton in Shrewsbury, which is a fabric shop, but unfortunately I picked up the last few metres, so I don't think you'll be able to get hold of it there. I did actually change the fit of this top slightly, because the first couple I made a little bit tighter, and I just gave myself a little bit more room in the side seams so that it's a little bit more comfortable, and also in the arm as well, so there's plenty of room there. And I also mentioned in the previous podcast where I showed this when I'd recently sewn it, that I made it 3/4 length sleeve instead of full length, or there's another length that just comes to the elbow, which isn't particularly flattering for me, so I like this 3/4 length sleeve. I absolutely love this neckline on this top, so I shall be using this top pattern many times again. I really like that. So there we go, there's my Agnes top by Tilly and the Buttons. So I will just shout Barbara, and if she's got something else to show you. Come over, Barbara. Welcome back, Barbara. She's been on a holiday over Easter. Goodness knows where she's been. So this is my Concord t-shirt, and the pattern is by Cashmerette Patterns, and these patterns are specifically made for ladies who are of sort of a larger size, especially around the bust area. So it gives you the option to make a larger top for you, just specifically the bust area, so there's different cup sizes that you can choose from. I picked the largest of the cup sizes, and I think this fits nicely. I will show you how it fits on me on the next episode so you can see what it looks like. So this fabric was from Higgs and Higgs, and I bought it a few months ago anyway, and when I bought it I showed you it, and it was absolutely beautifully sort of soft when you sort of touched the surface of it, but when it's washed it's lost a bit of that feeling, but actually it's still quite a nice material once it's been washed. I just find it strange that it felt so different when I just bought it. I stuck to the pattern, apart from that I ended up changing the length of the top, because originally I chose the tunic style, which has got like a curved hem for both the back and the front. But actually when I made it, it was so long on me because I'm quite a short person, I'm 5'3". I ended up cutting it to the shortest length on the pattern just to see if that was good for me. And I think that that should be okay. I need to actually wear it to confirm I'm happy with that length, just for a couple of days before I can really make a conclusion from it. I'm starting to get a bit of a frog in my throat. Excuse me. So it's got this really interesting detail on the sleeve with, you add a little button to this little placket thing, and it just ruches the sleeve up a little bit, which I thought was a really interesting pattern. I did the highest neckline. They do have more of a scooped neck. I did find that when I put the neck in, that it seemed that the neck was a little bit slightly on the small side for the size of the neck. It could be because of the fabric, I'm not sure. I'll have to try making it again to see whether this happens again. And I did notice, oh, you need a bit of oil again, Barbara. So it has got quite a high neck at the back. I think it is exaggerated by Barbara's strange neck here. But it does seem higher than tops are normally at the back edge. If you noticed, you may see a clue as to what I have got on my confession section. But I will say no more. So yes, so far I'm really pleased with this pattern, and I will be making more of these again. I am not sure exactly how I feel about the fit because, like I said, I like to wear it for a couple of days before I can really make a conclusion. So there we are. So thank you ever so much, Barbara. Bye, Barbara. So I have actually cut out my ultimate trousers in a sort of wearable muslin, just to see what the fit's like, and I'm altering the fit a little bit because at the moment I'm altering the fact that the hips seem to stick out lower where mine finish. It's probably just because I'm quite short. I'll show you in a bit more detail when I finish them. And the crotch area is a bit baggy as well, so I'm making some changes to those. And I did buy the sort of the video tutorials from Sew Over It on how to make the ultimate trousers and the carry trousers, which has been quite useful because I've never actually adjusted trousers before. So that'll be quite interesting. And I've also cut out my bottine top out of the navy blue with white flowers on as well. So hopefully I'll get a couple of things finished for next episode. We'll see. So now we're on to the next section, which is bobbin lace, which I haven't showed you in a little while. I'll just reach over for my cushion. Oh gosh, I always get surprised how heavy these things are. So I showed you a little while ago that I'd started doing this heart. And I think on the last time I showed it you, I'd done the outside, and I've been filling in the centre area with, it's just 4 pairs that you work around. You have to be quite clever about where you start and where you are able to work so you don't end up with gaps in the middle. So that's working out quite nicely. I'm hoping to get this finished and to be able to use this in some textile art pieces to put on the wall. Now the part that you can see is actually going to be the back of the work. So you can see threads haven't been cut yet, which I'm going to actually thread through a backing material so that it's nice and I haven't got to weave in any ends, because that sometimes it doesn't end up very neat when you finish weaving in the ends of a project. Well, not when I do it anyway. So there we go, that's my little heart. I'm hoping to have that in a piece that will go in the living room. I think that's really pretty, and it's actually out of a book. I shall just go and grab the book. So this is a pattern from this book that I purchased a little while ago, and it should look like this at the end. It's not a particularly great picture, but there we go. So that should be quite pretty. So I haven't worked out what I'm going to do next in bobbin lace, but that's going to be fun when it's finished. So we've got the next section is Blast from the Past. So I thought I'd show you a hand spun cowl that I'd knitted for Adam. And I can't remember what the cowl pattern's called, so I will put it on the screen now if you wanted to see it. So this is made of my hand spun yarn in an Aran weight, and these colours are actually just from the colours of the natural fleece. I had a fleece that I actually washed, carded and spun as well, which was, I don't really enjoy washing and carding fleece, I decided, after I made, well, it wasn't just this I made from the batch, I had a few fleeces. I ended up making a whole load of things that were sort of using the natural colours of the fleece rather than dyeing it up, because I think that looks really pretty when you can see the sort of natural variations in colour. And this sort of cowl is great because it sort of covers your neck area and chest a little bit more at the front, and at the back of the cowl it goes up where it goes around the back of your neck. So Adam wears that quite a lot. It's pilled a little bit, but it's a few years ago since I made this. To be honest, it must be 6 years ago, I think. So it's not holding up too badly. So there's my blast from the past, and I need to do my gadget section. So if I can get it from the pile of yarn that I've got in front of me. This is my gadget for this week. So this is basically a spool that you place your thread when you're using on the sewing machine. So I normally use quite big rolls of thread like this, so that I basically don't have to change my spool all the time. Because those 100-metre spools, they don't last 5 minutes. I need a big one like this. I go through them like nobody's business. You can see my white here. I've used quite a lot. I'll place this on the table so you can see. You can see how much that's gone down, and this isn't even a full spool, so that's all good fun. So I find this useful because you can use larger spools, and also if you're using metallic threads, you'll find that they don't sort of mess up in your machine as much if you allow them to sort of unwind before they reach your machine. So if you're using metallic threads, it's a good idea to have something like this. You don't have to have the one quite as big as this, I suppose, but you can get different ones. You can get ones with multiple spool holders, which I'd also recommend too. But I wanted a white one because it goes in my craft room. So there we go, that's the gadget for this week. And what have we got next? We've got the confessions. I'm going to do my small confessions, and then I will tell you about my very, very big confession. So I purchased a couple of fabrics from Fabric Styles, which I showed you on the last episode, but I'd also pre-ordered this fabric, which is a really cool stripy fabric with like these flower prints on. Now these sort of orangey colours aren't normally my colour, but I just thought that was so interesting on a stripe as well. So this is a jersey scuba fabric, and this is a slightly thinner jersey, slightly thinner scuba than the other ones I've got, but I think it's still nice. So scuba is a bit weird because it's got like multiple layers of fabric that you can sort of see. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera. So they sort of part very slightly where it's been cut. But do not iron scuba. I haven't actually done it myself, which is good, but I've been warned, do not iron scuba, it doesn't like it, it will melt. So there we go, so that's my scuba fabric that I bought. And I also put an order into a shop called Empress Mills, which incidentally is where I get lots of these massive thread spools from, if you wanted to know where to get those. And I happened to buy some spotty jersey fabric. So this is a really nice drapey, stretchy jersey, just with some dots on. I don't think you can go wrong with a navy with some sort of small print on. So I picked up a metre of that just to make a summer t-shirt in, because hopefully the navy blue will be quite flattering. So there's that one. And I also picked up some, what do you call them? Ballpoint pins from the same shop, Empress Mills, because I've been sewing and using just normal pins on my jersey, but apparently you're supposed to use ballpoint pins, and hopefully that'll work better, because sometimes it do snag slightly. But if I do get one out, they do feel still a bit sharp to me. I don't know, I haven't really had a go with them, so I'll let you know how I get on with those. So that's my third smaller purchase, but I might have given in. I've been wanting one of these for about 2 years, and I've been thinking, oh, it's too much money, too much money. I just went mad. Mum and Dad come at the weekend, well, for the Easter weekend, and I was like, oh, look, Mum, there's £50 off if you use this code. She said, get it. So it's Mum's fault. So I bought a cover lock machine. So I've bought the Benina B42 Burnett machine, which I'd actually seen on Kittenish Behaviour, the podcast that Sian does. She'd just shown that she'd bought one, but she hadn't sort of got to grips with it yet. But I was quite impressed when I'd looked up YouTube videos on how you use it and how you thread it. And I thought, oh, I really fancy one of those. So I've bought one. I can't really hold it up to show you, but I will pop a picture here so you can see what it looks like. And I'm hoping, once I've got to grips with it a little bit more, perhaps to do a little small tutorial about what the Coverstitch machine does exactly, and also what I like about the machine I've bought, or what I don't like about the machine. So I shall tell you a bit more about that. But effectively, the Coverstitch machine does, like, as this is actually done with twin needle, but on my Concord top, I did it with the Coverstitch machine. It produces 2 lines of stitching, but on the back it's a really nice weave of a thread on the back, like as if it's overlocked. So it just produces a much more professional finish, which I don't really need at all, but I really wanted it. So I thought, oh, I'm just going to get one. It was Mum's fault, blame Mum. So I'll talk about that in a future episode, hopefully. So that's my big confession. It was so naughty. I will put below where I got it, what shop I got it from, because I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was Sewing Machine World or something. I'll put the details on the screen so you can see anyway. So this week I also won a little prize. I won this cute little bunny bag with a really cute stitch marker on the end from Annie, who's Annie's Crafty Makes, and she's just recently started a podcast and she did a little giveaway, so I won this. Thank you, Annie. And I like this progress keeper is so cute. It's made of some cutest little beads. So that's lovely. She's also got an Etsy shop where she sells a few of her little bags if you're interested. So all I've got to talk about next is shop update. So the shop update is going to be on Friday the 13th at 7:30. So I'm trying now to do a shop update every Friday at 7:30. Hopefully the orders that I get, I send some on Saturday and the rest on Monday. So I'm trying to alternate bags and yarn every other week. So last week I did a yarn shop update, and I shall show you a few of the yarns that I put up last week. That there is a few left if you're interested in getting them. So like I showed you before, there's a little mini skein set with the sort of spring colours. There's 5 mini skeins in total, and this one is the only one that I've named. It's called Where the Wild Roses Grow. And the others are just ones I've been playing with, or some tonals. So I've got another mini skein set that I've still got some left of. I did have some of another set, but they've completely sold out, so I can't show you them because I haven't got any stuff been posted out. This mini skein set is one that I've put together as well. It's like a tonal pale minty bluey green. This is You Spin Me Round, where there's grey with some purple speckles on. I'll show you a full skein of that in a minute. And this is my Rio colourway. So this one that's You Spin Me Round is actually a newer one. I haven't shown you that before, so that's nice. Let's dig it up. Where are we? Here we go. So this is it on my sparkle base. So this is a merino yarn with some sparkle in it. I don't know whether you can see that on the screen. So, but I've also got this in my normal merino nylon base as well, if you don't like a little bit of sparkle. So it's not, for some reason, I don't know why, but my camera dulls down purples and pinks a little bit. So it's a little bit more fresher and brighter than how that's coming out. So there we go. I've got a couple of kits where you can get mini skeins with them as well. This is Where the Wild Roses Grow, and this is my Strawberry Fields Forever colourway. I shall show you that knit up if you haven't seen it before. So that one will look like this. And I showed you the sock that I'm knitting before is this colourway. I've just shown you that already, so I don't really need to show you it again. Sometimes I forget though, so I like to see twice. I've got some more of my Girls Just Want to Have Fun base. That's a yellow with some sort of delicate orange splatters on there, and this is on my sparkle base. There is another one on a non-sparkle base as well. I've got one of a kind left, which is basically the colourway that's in one of the minis, which has got some different shades of green and some purples there splattered over. I've got a couple of skeins of Purple Rain in the shop, which I've shown you before. I've got a few of the kits for my Take On Me socks. So this is basically how it knits up, but this mini is a little bit brighter than the one I've got in the kit but you don't have to buy the mini if you don't want to. You can just buy the Take On Me yarn. So that's how that knits up. So I've got some Rio, and this is in my BFL base. I've only got a few of the yarns in the BFL in the shop at the moment, just because I've run out of undyed BFL, so I shall be getting some more of that in the future. This is Coming Around again on my sparkle base. I really like that. That's lovely. And then this is, oh, it's just another one of the Where the Wild Roses Grow, but in the sparkle base. I think the different bases do take up the colours slightly different. Let's see if I can dig one out. I think that the high twist base tends to take up the pink a little bit more Where the Wild Roses Grow. So if you're looking for a slightly brighter one, that might be a good one to get. So that's all the yarns that I've got left in the shop. And I shall hopefully get some more dyed for next week, and it'll be the yarn next week. But this Friday I'm going to be putting some new bag designs in there. So a couple of people had said to me about the hydrangea bags, how they'd missed out on them. So I decided to get some more hydrangea fabric, but unfortunately I couldn't get any more of the pink. So I picked up some of the blue version of it this time, and I've just got some nice sort of upholstery weight fabric at the bottom, just to make it a bit more sturdy with a handle there. And these have got a white lining inside. I've also used a slightly different upholstery type fabric for the bottom of this one, so they'll be listed separately. This one has got a finer texture than this one, but I thought they both looked nicely. They both look nice with the hydrangea fabric, so there we go. These are a sort of good size 2 skein bag for sort of little projects that you want to carry around, so I've added a handle on there. I found some more of the sheepy fabric, so I had to get some more. So this is a lovely blue sheep fabric, which I've had some in the shop for bags a little while ago, but I did see some. The last bit was in my local fabric shop, so I picked up the last piece and I've combined it with this nice wool fabric at the bottom. This is actually quite a toothy wool fabric, so I've only put it in the bottom. I didn't add a handle because I think it would be quite rough on your hands, so I think that's quite a nice sort of 1 to 2 skein size, and I've lined that in white Egyptian cotton as well. And these ones I always add a little progress keeper if they have a zip on them, and a little ribbon to match. Got a few of those in the shop. And finally I've got these slightly bigger bags that are made out of a beautiful summery print of fabric. There's a little pocket and my little label inside, and this one should take about 4 skeins of yarn once that they're pulled up together. So that's how that looks. I really like those. They're nice and sturdy. They're made of quite an upholstery weight fabric on the inside as well as the outside, so they should be quite durable. And we always like to have things that last, don't we? So there we go. That's all that I've got to show you for my shop update. I think that's all I've got to say for the rest of the day. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you join me in the next episode. And keep an eye out for some tutorials that I'll be popping on the channel. If you like watching the videos, don't forget to subscribe and give me the thumbs up, because that really helps the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!